turn you down.
Good evening, Chris.
Rob, how are you?
How are you? Good evening.
God, you're so softly spoken tonight. Have you been to elocution lessons?
Yeah. I've learned how to enunciate my words.
It's very, very good.
As opposed to most of my neighbors and colleagues.
Are you talking about Northern Ireland, Rob?
No. I'm just talking about my neighbors and my colleagues.
That's me and my Uncle John.
Who are well versed in droning and turning one word into the next word, into the next word, into the next word.
I hear you, buddy.
How's things? Good?
Rob, I had the nicest day ever today.
Mm-hmm.
I went up the north coast and had just
beautiful,
a blissful. You know, one of those days where you just drive, listen to tunes, sun's in your arm, you stop for a pint, all that sort of stuff.
That sounds nice, Chris.
It was beautiful. It was if Top Gear had been filming, it would have been a Christmas sensation. I'm not even joking you.
We'll talk about Top Gear later.
Oh, really?
Anyhow, I've got 2 stories for you.
2, Rob?
Because this is the weekly dose, and these are the most important stories
in
the world.
Are you having a dig at me,
about
Rob?
Photography?
In my 8 stories?
No. I'm telling you that I scoured the world for these 2 stories.
I'd love to watch you scouring the world.
No.
You'd be like Phileas Fogg.
With a Brillo pad, I was like, oh, God, where is something that's interesting in photography?
Looking down from your balloon, looking down at the little people, spying.
Man, that whole Sony A7C thing.
It's out now. It's out.
Oh, yeah.
It's only £15,000.
Well, it's not out, but it's been
Outed.
Announced. It's been announced and all that kind of stuff. And it's exactly what we were talking about. It's nothing more, nothing less.
But you know why, Rob? Because you scour.
I scour.
I scowl.
But that's all the Sony news this week.
Oh.
What's your next story?
Jesus, Rob, you went in depth there with your scouring. You should. You're like Parkinson's.
It's nothing to write home about.
You're like somebody with Parkinson's. I shouldn't joke. That's not even funny. God forgive me. God forgive me. I'll have to take that out.
Yeah, it wasn't that good.
It wasn't.
It really isn't. It's a real basic A7 III,
which is expensive
without the viewfinder.
An expensive basic A7 III.
I think it's. What did they say it was? It was like 200 or 300 pounds less.
That's crazy. Well, I don't understand the logic of the whole thing, if I'm being honest with you. My first story, Rob, is, and you'll like this, it's not necessarily photographic, but it does. Photographs do fall into this, of course. Okay, so I was watching a few things that MoMA have been putting out, okay, and this led me in a bit of a track, okay, and it took me to ArtNet. You've heard of ArtNet, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So ArtNet have this thing called the Intelligence Report. Fall 2020. I take it that's winter, autumn 2020. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh,
okay, so it says if you're looking for inspiration, look no further than ArtNet and the ArtNet Intelligence Report, inaugural innovators issue. It's hard to say. Okay, and it's presented by Morgan Stanley. Okay,
good old Morgan Stanley.
I don't know who he is, but he sounds quite dull. But wealthy. Okay. So what we have is, listen to these, a couple of nice facts, okay, make you laugh, just in case you think you're having a hard time or I'm having a hard time. Okay, a grand total of 2.9 billion worth of fine art was sold at auction in the first half of 2020. Okay, down a hefty 58.3% from the equivalent period in 2019.
Oh, I'm weeping.
Listen, it gets better. I'm
weeping.
Lockdown made it less appealing to consign art for sale, bringing down the numbers of works offered by almost 30%. Okay, the objects did not sell, were less expensive than the past. The average price of work of fine art fell 41.3% in the first half of 2020 compared to the same period last year. Okay, listen, it gets better. The world's three largest art markets, US, UK, and China, were all hurt by the shutdown, but not equally. China's total fine art auction sales plummeted a stunning 84.9. They had it tough.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
US and UK only 52% over that year. A total of 186.4 billion worth of art was sold online at Phillips, Sotheby's and Christie's in the first half. And so it goes on, okay? Then we hit the ultra contemporary market. That's people born after 1974. Do you know what that means, Rob? You and I are not fucking ultra fucking contemporary. And not, even if we tried, we couldn't be there. Okay. Right? But
we're just contemporary. We're not ultra contemporary.
Resigned to the bin of contemporariness. Okay. Right. So it goes on about ultra contemporary stuff. Then it goes into the lower end of the market, proved most resilient. Okay, that sales of work up to £10,000 declined only 27.9%, the smallest step down in any bracket. What do you think of that?
You would think that. That makes sense.
So
that does make sense.
So what that says to me is that there's a lot of wealthy people who don't know their arse from their elbow whenever it comes to having a tough time. I couldn't believe it. My God, love them.
Well, they're just holding on to their money.
They're holding on to it.
All those millionaires and billionaires are holding on to their money.
Why would they?
It's the middle class. It's the middle class that are still buying art.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
so those items under $10,000 are still selling.
But you know what?
Are selling, relative to the other more expensive pieces.
But what you want to hear is, you want to hear about tippy books and stuff. You want to hear about people, ordinary people. How that's been affected. That's all well and good. And I downloaded the intelligence report, the whole shebang, which is like 100 pages, right? And it's really good. It's the who's who in collectors and movers and shakers and innovators. Okay, and it's actually an interesting read, but probably not in the sense that they maybe intended to be. It takes you through Jean-Michel Basquiat. And I know this isn't photographs, but this is all to do with the art market. 15 million, 9 million, 9 million, all the stuff that's been sold over the last wee while. Now we're going to.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy. Well, you think
that stuff's.
Well, you think of Gursky.
Still fetches all that.
Well, you think of Gursky, 3 million. Photography is still catching up. But what would then go into the entrepreneurs, and that's actually quite a good read. And of course, it's American. We're dealing with what was his name? What was your name, Mark? Who was it? What do you call the guy I was talking about earlier on?
Who, the British guy?
No, the guy that I was joking.
The British guy who does the photography?
No, the guy the Morgan Stanley.
Beaches?
Morgan Stanley.
Oh, Morgan Stanley.
Yeah. So anyway,
he's a great painter.
He's a great painter. We can certainly has lots of bills.
Amazing painter.
He can afford a brush or two or a canvas.
Yeah.
But I think this is interesting because we're where it's at the minute with photography and people who are freelance and how it's not easy. It's actually, if anything, it's getting worse. We're hitting Christmas, we're hitting the New Year, we're hitting a quiet time of year.
Yep.
So what that means to me is I'm really glad that the billionaires and the millionaires are keeping their cash. Glad they're not spending it on art. To help. Help people.
Help the little guy.
Help the little guy, but good for them. That's good. Good for them. Good old Morgan and Stanley.
And all those middle class people are still buying art.
Still buying art, and people like you and me are still buying books, which is important. You know what I mean? I've been really pushing books, for people to buy books because it is helping people on the it's helping the ordinary man, let's say. Or I don't mean
buy what you can, spend what you can, but realize that you need to keep your money for the next 6 to 12 months.
Yeah,
because this ain't going anywhere right now.
Do you know what happened to me today, Rob? Just to interrupt 2 seconds. I was in the middle of nowhere, literally in the middle of nowhere today. Okay,
and the cops pulled you over and asked you where you lived.
No, they didn't catch me. So they. You know what I realised? There's no COVID in it. There's no COVID. There's no COVID in Murdoch Bay. It was beautiful. I got out of the car. I walked around. I climbed. I did all the stuff you have to do, and I didn't have to go into the car and put gel in my hands.
You had a broken foot.
I do have a broken foot, Rob. You know how I've told you.
You climbed around. You walked, and
Well, I walked
hike?
a bit. I didn't climb. I rose myself.
You just said you climbed.
I know, but I mean like 4 feet. I don't mean I climbed in the sense of I climbed Tor Head.
You climbed in and out of the car.
Yeah, I climbed in out of the car. I climbed a bit of grass. I had to go. I'm doing landscape classes hard. I had to go and test how resilient I was going to be. But we'll talk again about the faith.
Is that on Saturday?
Yeah. For those who don't know, I banjaxed my foot. Maybe you do. Maybe we mentioned that last time, did we?
Yes, we did.
Rob, what is your next? Please, Jesus, make it a really
interesting,
a really fun, interesting. If you say it's another Sony thing and it's as short as the first one, I don't know.
No, the first one wasn't even a story. The first one was, whatever.
Piffle.
Yeah.
Piffle.
I mean, I think with all the camera news and copyright news and everything that went on in the past week, I think the most interesting story is the announcement of the new GoPro 9. That's how slow of a news week it is.
Do you hear that, Rob?
That my most interesting story, yes. Yeah.
A GoPro 9?
Yep.
Is that one you can stick it in the bonnet of your car? That sort of thing? I don't really understand GoPros, I've been honest with you.
I have a GoPro. I have a GoPro 5 or GoPro 6 or something.
Not a GoPro 2?
But no, my assistant has a GoPro 2. I think he has the original.
Assistant,
which is worth something.
This day and age.
Well, but not full time, they're part time. But anyways, GoPro, quick specs, 240 frames a second at 1080, front facing monitor, so you can do the whole selfie thing and vlogging.
Okay.
20 megapixel raw stills. It's when you're shooting video, it'll shoot raw audio. Very cool.
Very cool. Much is it?
10 meter waterproofness, so 10 meters underwater. Yeah.
Cool.
It will act as a webcam. It'll do streaming. It's $450.
Oh, that's cheap.
Yeah. Or it's $350 if you already subscribe to their cloud.
God, they're good, aren't they?
Their cloud service, their storage service.
Okay. That negates the price of the storage for a year.
Yeah. But also on top of that $100 discount, because you already have their storage, it also gives you 50% off on certain products at their GoPro online shop. And get this, it gives you a no questions asked camera replacement.
Shut up.
So if you're actually using the GoPro,
are crazy, yeah, and
if you're using the GoPro as it should be used,
yeah,
and you crush it when you're using your wingsuit jumping off a mountain and you hit a rock, and you just send it back to GoPro and they give you a new one. How great is that
idea, Rob? Well, it means you don't have to have insurance, I suppose.
Well, it's basically it's $50 a year for the subscription.
Yeah.
So, I mean, $50 a year, you get unlimited cloud storage of all your GoPro footage. So you can put all your GoPro footage up on this cloud and share it, link it, do whatever you need to do with it.
Can they use it for advertising purposes? No.
No. So $50 a year for, and as you break cameras, you get them replaced.
I'm so scared of breaking cameras, Rob.
It shoots 5K. It's a 5K camera, video camera.
Rob, let's buy one for doing this instead of what we do using Sony. I have such a...
We need to talk to Sony about this.
I have such a small space in my room. I'm squeezing between things.
Yeah, you look great on a fisheye lens. We both would.
Jesus, Rob, I would look... No, I couldn't use it. I have stuff to the right of me.
Me with my nose?
You have a great nose.
I have a nice, large nose.
It's synotally. But I like that about you. It's Roman. It's Roman all over your face. No, you have a Roman. You just have a strong nose. If I saw you on a motorbike in Italy, I would look twice at you.
Dude, you say that. Oh my God, that just brought back a memory. Years and years and years ago, we did a campaign for an indoor go-kart track. And I was doing production work for the photographer, and we were short on models. So I threw a helmet on, threw on, a driving suit, got into the front go-kart, and all you can see from the way the scene was lit is my helmet and this huge nose coming out from the helmet. And you know what? That image has got to be close to 30 years old. They still use it.
No, they don't.
That image is still used. It's on film and it's still used.
Rob, let's find it and put a link to it.
Oh, I'll find it. I'll put it in the description below. You know what they gave me for pavement?
What?
They gave me about 2 inches of free ride coupons to indoor go-karting. And each coupon had like 10 or 20 rides on it.
Oh.
So what was it? I think they were 20-minute sessions or something.
I thought they'd they basically give you a lifetime supply.
I had there was $5,000
No
go-kart tickets. Oh, it was ridiculous. Oh, it was insane. It took us 2 years. 2 years and 6 guys. I gave them out to all my friends, and we'd go racing every second weekend.
Do you think you were called go-kart Durston? Do you think that's what the friends called you? Do you think you had more friends?
Go-go Durston.
Go-go Durston. There he comes, everybody. Ask him for a ticket.
I wore my go-go dress.
Ask him for a ticket. He's got 2 inches worth of tickets.
What's your next story there, Chrissy?
Rob, you know what? You need to tell those stories more often. That's fucking more interesting, pardon me, than GoPro or Sony. I would beg to see that nose coming out of the shadows.
It was an 8,000 square foot yacht, like shipbuilding,
Where at? In Canada?
Yeah, in Canada.
I love Canadian.
And they had taken one building, and then they took out the other building, and they put a door in between the 2 buildings, like a huge garage door, so you could drive through to the other building. So the whole track was through 2 buildings. And try lighting that. We lit the place. It was crazy.
You've given me a panic attack.
Why?
I don't know. Thinking of very, very large places now.
And lighting it up?
And all sorts of stuff. The whole scenario. I think I was there for a very brief second.
Oh, it was amazing. It was a great time.
Rob, do you know what happened?
Great time.
I was remote viewing. I swear I was remote viewing. We'll talk about it afterwards. I could tell you stuff about that place. I hope I wasn't, because the CIA or something will be after me, because I was there.
What was that movie? Men Who Stare at Goats?
Men Who Stare at Goats. Was one of your friends called Billy the Squirrel or Go-Karty George? No?
No.
Maybe it must have been after you left. Okay, I'm gonna strike a serious note, Rob. Okay.
Next story, yep.
Serious note. This is from Aperture. Okay, and it's an introduction to a new book about the Zealy Daguerreotypes. Okay, and it's oh god, I wasn't going to do this because it's so it's complex enough for my simple mind, but originally made in 1850 and rediscovered by Harvard's Peabody Museum in 1976.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
Can you put your phone on your desk or something?
Why? What's wrong?
You're breaking up slightly.
Is that better?
For now. Yeah.
I don't know why.
Go ahead. Yeah. And so it's about daguerreotypes.
Okay.
So you've got some daguerreotypes.
Yeah, but listen to this. It gets better, Rob. They were found in Harvard's Peabody Museum in an attic. Okay. Pardon me. God, that was very badly mannered. And they are daguerreotypes of Jem, Alfred, Delilah, Renty, Fascina, Drana, and Jack. And Jack asked that we look closely, listen intently, and speak out. So the daguerreotypes are essentially are 15 images of 7 individuals. Okay, and there are 7. They think they're the earliest photographs of slaves. Okay.
Really?
Yeah. And, a quote here, once seen, the images are hard to forget. Sarah Elizabeth Lewis writes, of encountering Delia and Drana with their clothes pulled down to their waist. So it gives you, the book's one thing. I think the reviews for the book are very, very interesting. It's very academic, and also obviously it's the 20th of August 2020. So we know we're replaced, and everyone's the way it's been talked about and the way it's been handled is beautiful. Okay, and it's an education just to read the review, never mind the book. But what we have is, in 1850, Joseph T. Zealy, a Columbia, South Carolina photographer, produced a group of daguerreotypes of African and African American for AGASSIZ. What's that? Agassiz? No. Agus. I'm shit at stuff like this. Anyway, to support his ideas of the origins of human diversity. So basically, this guy was getting Zealy to photograph slaves to prove the inferiority of the African. Okay, because it's a big long piece, but they essentially believed that there was people came from different races, and at the very bottom of that was the Africans or the African Americans. So it was done for a desperately sad reason. But anyway, shoved away, lost, rediscovered, and now what we're doing is they were discovered in 1976. So 76, you can imagine what America was like, or what the world was like with regards to images. Never mind, but you can imagine the daguerreotype of this. It's up close and personal. It's stunning portraits. But it sets up all sorts of stuff. But the question of ownership, I think last year, one of the relatives of one of the people in the photographs was suing Harvard, and they basically said that they were trying to make money from the images, and they were saying that it was it just says woman sues Harvard, but Tamara Lanford, sorry, this is very dull, but I think it's very interesting. Harvard basically tried to reject the claim, but she said that the university was working to sanitize the history of the images and exploit them for prestige and profit. And you can kind of see how that works. If Harvard found the images, and these are desperately important images. Well, not just me. I imagine everybody feels that. But I'll put a link down to go and look at the images. Are all online. You can go and look at them. You can imagine the quality of the daguerreotype and how that looks. But anyway, look at the images and read about the original intent and kind of what's happening now, because there's a repurposing. I suppose that. Yeah. If I can say that, that's probably a really poor way of talking about that, but I'm not overly good at that sort of stuff. Rob, have you another thing to talk about?
Yeah, I got another shit sandwich here.
Jesus, Rob.
Yep. So Audi's in trouble.
Uh-oh.
Yep. They did this family lifestyle-y sort of campaign.
Where do you find this interesting stuff from, Rob?
I don't know if it's interesting.
Well, it's interesting,
but it's
one week it's not Saab. What was it? What was your story about?
Volvo.
Yeah.
But anyways, this week it's Audi,
yeah.
And basically what Audi has done is they've done this lifestyle-y shoot with the whole family gathered around their estate, their station wagon, and probably piling into the car and doing stuff and photographs outside the car. And there's one photograph of a little girl, like a 5-year-old, 6-year-old girl, in a dress, in the front of the car, standing in front of the car, leaning against the grill.
Oh, I've seen this.
In the hood.
Yeah.
Eating a banana.
Yeah. Where is this jerk?
And that's when it all falls apart. Because everybody starts raising their hand.
Of course, yeah.
And objecting.
Yeah.
Because they're looking at a single image. Yeah. They're not looking at a series of images.
No, of course. Yeah.
They're looking at a single image and they're calling foul. They're calling suggestive stuff and danger because the potential driver couldn't see the little girl in front of the car, the way she's standing, and just like all this kind of stuff.
Some stuff that's sensible, some stuff that's not.
And before it could get out of control, Audi steps in and just gives this like long-winded apology about everything, and how there's 37 different driver aids in the car to like
stop it hitting children.
Yes, and all this kind of stuff. And it's just like, oh my God, it's so crazy, man. Crazy. Just let this stuff go. Put it into context what these images are for. Anyways. So, dude, my GoPro story was higher up than the Audi story.
Really?
So
no, but I came across the Audi stuff and I thought, I get a sense, I think you're right. I think it's, some people have went absolutely bonkers in the whole thing. I think I can see.
If this was 1985.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Nobody would have batted an eye at it.
No, I know.
Nobody would have cared.
No, I know, but I get.
They thought it was cute. A little girl wearing sunglasses, eating a banana. All of a sudden, it becomes like some sort of phallic, instrument in people's minds.
I know.
And I read one of the comments, and I thought it was direct and to the point. Yeah. If you're thinking that is a suggestive pose by a 5-year-old. Yeah. You should probably look at everything else on your hard drive.
Okay. When was that? Was that this year?
That was this week.
No.
This past week. This was.
Jeez, I've seen a different one then. I saw one that was a while back. Well, Rob, let me lighten the mood ever so slightly.
Okay. 27 minutes and counting.
How many? 7?
27 minutes.
I am going to talk about 2 things. One is the source. I talk about source thinking through photography. Okay, and we all know what source is. It's an incredibly informative,
great magazine.
Yeah, and it's just as far as I'm concerned, it's not to be beaten. I think it's awesome. But what we have is the latest issue is the Unsayable Beyond Words. Okay, and if you go into the editorial article about that, it talks about anyone who's studied photography at university. Well, I actually don't agree with that. Anybody who's studied photography, I think anybody who's been involved in photography the past 30 years will be familiar with the idea of considering images as text. That's kind of your precursor to the conversation. So what we have there is it's a kind of a conversation around the unsayable beyond words. Okay, which is interesting. Then we go down and we start talking about my favourite bit about it is fashion lockdown fashion column by Joseph McBrien. If anybody doesn't know Joseph McBrien is an absolute, I don't know, he's an incredible guy that teaches at the University of Ulster, is it Ulster University? Ulster University now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Joseph's. I actually haven't read it, but I am going to buy it just to read that. But the interesting thing for me here is a retrospective of Claire Strand. So Claire Strand's an artist based in Brighton, and she was published in Style by Style in 2009, and she's nominated for the Durst-Bosch Prize, and it's an interview by Lucy Suter. Cool. I haven't read this yet, but whenever I saw it, I was excited. I thought Claire Strand did a piece of work which was, I've heard lots of people said they didn't like it, in Belfast Exposed. Did you see it? Snake? No, snakes?
No. So we'll put those descriptions.
I'll put them
below.
down. Are we out of time?
Right.
Are we out of time?
Yeah, sorry, Chris.
No. Are we?
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
We'll see you next week.
Rob, yes, please. Can we see each other? Can we actually see each other in flash?
All right, see ya.
Bye. I'm still recording.
Not for long, Aaron.
Think not? Will I do an impression of your nose in motorbike camp?
Done. Yep.